Whoa, it's Micah Peters, staff writer at The Ringer, and that was an exposition-heavy episode of Watchmen. 11-2, what is the truth? We'll keep this brief because society could collapse at any moment, and we've discussed this at length on this recap series right here. 11-2 is the giant psychic octopus explosion that happens in New York and unites all the world under one banner against a common threat. Our connection to that in this episode is one Tim Blake Nelson, who you know as Looking Glass and Jean Smart refers to as Mirror Guy, even though she knows his name is Looking Glass, via a flashback to HOBOKEN. So we see from his perspective the precipitous fallout of the spandex-clad people's big fat plan to save the world. People's heads explode, cars get flipped over. We also see the long-term implications 3 decades down the road. There are support groups. People have interdimensional detection devices mounted on their walls. There are bunkers. People wear tinfoil in their hats to protect against psychic blasts. We have the New York Tourism Board making desperate attempts to get people to move back into town with a really weird and delightful commercial featuring one Christopher Moltisanti. So yeah, the world is still crazy and still enthralled to dark forces that this episode are finally literalized. We have the senator who unmasks himself as part of the 7th Cavalry and shows Looking Glass a really weird infomercial where Adrian Veidt is speaking from the future to the past, in the past, about the future, or something like that. Veidt is speaking directly to President Robert Redford, for whom he moved all of the chess pieces into place for him to win the presidency and keep the presidency. Basically, all of this was Veidt's design. We know that Veidt's motivations were to create a better version of the world than the one that currently existed, using fear to control the masses. And we don't really know what the Texas senator and the 7th Cavalry are getting up to in a nondescript office park with a teleportation device, but we can reasonably assume that it also has to do with controlling the masses through fear. Speaking of Adrian Veidt, a number of you have complained in the comments about my pronunciation of his last name, about the way that I've flattened the vowels, and I wanted to let you know that that is not an incorrect pronunciation, but the comic book pronunciation. So I wasn't wrong, I was just less right. Okay, so anyway, Veidt update. He is not on some wildlife reserve somewhere on planet Earth, but on a moon orbiting Mars, and he's managed to escape the atmosphere and get a message out to a deep space telescope that he wants to be saved. So, as always with this B-plot, we have a few more answers and even more questions. And on the subject of answers leading to more questions, we now know that the pills that Angela gave to Looking Glass are memory pills, a banned substance that can induce psychosis, which probably in the context of this show just means that you start telling the truth to people that either don't want to hear it or don't want it out in the world. You will recall that in the last episode, Will Reeves stood up and said that he couldn't just tell Angela what he needed to tell her, he needed to show it to her. Lady True asked if that was the right way. We'll probably figure out next episode what exactly any of that means. So tune in next week. Hopefully both Angela and I can keep our sanity.